I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 13th meeting of the Pine Bluffs Town Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on our agenda is the agenda approval, and we need to add to the agenda under new business, we need to add discussion about a tower lease, tower ground lease. 5.5 is where I'm putting it. If that works.
I move to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of the tower lease.
Second. Moved and seconded, we approve the agenda as provided with the addition of the tower lease. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are now going to have a public hearing with regard to the liquor license application submissions for the town of Pine Bluffs. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move ahead to the consent agenda. Get a chance.
Kim? Yes. Quick question. I think we talked about it last meeting, but when are we going to start work on the rear park playground?
So all the design is done, and we'll be releasing the RFP next month.
Okay, perfect. Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded, we approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, new business, is the review and approval of the liquor licenses. Any concerns, questions? I think we should say here that up for approval are all those licenses with the exception of Transwest Development, which we would be approving for an extension of their inactivity.
Non-operational status.
Yes, non-operational status extension through the end of March. My understanding is they have some sort of plan, but for now, I think that's where we're at, is approving their extension on that piece. So, but everything else is for the regular year renewal, correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Move to approve all the liquor licenses.
Second.
Second.
Give that to Jane.
A little slow.
Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve all the liquor licenses presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.5 is the tower lease. Alex, explain a little bit about that.
Thank you. Here at council, what we have is one tower on Bluffs that has been purchased by Absolute Solutions, Inc. Had a couple of conversations with him. What it comes down to is, based on his numbers, his plan, rent real estate that it sits on. We would pay bill and maybe insurance. He would also be open to a variation in that rent rate based on duration, what their needs and also we were to get more customers on the tower, we would down to 15%. The only thing that comes to mind that might not be is not sure we have time to make a survey. Obviously.
Right.
So I think the proposition for the council is do we proceed final touches on the negotiation?
So we'll be approving your ability to negotiate the lease.
Yeah, and
rather than-
if, you know, I don't think it'd be at all out of line if you want to bring it back for final review and you could actually look
think-
at it.
I think given what we're
Is
talking
this-
about. Go ahead.
This is the city's communication tower, radio tower that we already have,
Well, it's,
or is it
you
another
know, I'm
one?
not sure.
No.
I think Vista
No.
Beam is on it now.
I think we have two there, right? This is,
There are 3 towers out there. The town owns 2 of them, and there was a third one that's on that property that is not owned by the town. It used to be owned by Bowman. And I believe at one point in time, the town used it for when we used to use the radio systems. But, yeah, but that was quite a while ago.
I don't
So
think we're on it
No, I don't, no, we're not on it now.
now. That's correct.
Is it High West that bought it, or him personally?
It's Absolute Solutions. Is it?
No,
No.
no, Absolute Solution.
Absolution
it's-
is out of Cheyenne.
it's a radio company.
That's
from
radio
China.
company.
Well, I think they have a
Well, they
location in
got-
both places.
2 offices, one in Scottsbluff and one in Cheyenne.
Well, I can't see, are they interested in getting going on this, or do you think?
He did send me a follow-up email, that they had the tower purchased, and,
They're all on the same.
I knew that.
Well, my feeling is the number's low enough that I would feel confident that you would negotiate the best deal you could for us. And that would be, I don't see any reason to circle back and get approval.
And, you know, Mayor, you're gonna have to sign it anyway, so, you know,
Right. Yep.
I move to give Alex permission to negotiate with Absolute Solutions regarding the tower ground lease.
Second.
Moved and seconded for Alex to negotiate with Absolute Solutions on the tower lease. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, under new business, review and approve the snow and ice removal plan. I think we've all had an opportunity to read it. Do we have questions for Kim, or would you like to present anything before we just roll into it?
Sure. Just making sure, does anybody have any changes in addition to those changes that I've already made?
You know, I probably should have brought this up earlier. I think your old map showed it, and I wasn't trying to, I'm not sure why Fifth Street from Beach to Market wasn't, I mean, it shows as a priority 1 on the map. Am I missing where it is listed?
It may be an oversight.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't listed on the old one either.
Okay.
So
I'll get it on there.
I don't know if it matters.
In the past, we have not specified whether we will push snow to the outer edge or push snow to the center. I think there are several different schools of thought on that. And so does the council have a preference, or just leave it up to Public Works determination depending on the amount of snow and how much it snows? I can tell you that there are several people that prefer we push it to the middle. And there are some that prefer, so I mean 50-50 out there on who prefers what direction.
Well, my preference is the middle, but I will tell you, someone very smart that I know told me, I have to say that, but don't have to say that. But she explained it to me that maybe we should alternate, and then we just make half the people mad half the time.
But then everybody will be mad at us.
All
Like,
the
all the time.
Yeah.
There's several places in town where you can't push it to the side, around like the city park and baseball.
Right. No,
All in there
absolutely,
because
there are
there's no
some areas,
housing or
yeah.
Nothing down there that.
Well, there are opportunities to do that, but for everyone who's parked on the street that gets a snowbank pushed up beside their car, I can imagine how frustrating. That's what I always think of.
Sure.
I guess based on previous years, for my opinion, it's worth, I think we heard more complaints when we pushed it to the side than when we pushed it in the middle. I personally, I find it annoying either way, so for me, it's there, it's snow, it's going to annoy all of us. So I think what you said, Kim, leaving it up to Public Works, depending upon the amount of snow and
Sure.
what kind of storm we're having, I think that's probably a good first step. And then I would just recommend the middle, since less people complain the last 2 years. But that's just, yeah. I'm not an expert in snow removal, so that's how I get.
I was wondering when it was going to come down to me. I'll tell you that the reason why I like it in the middle, we got less chance at running into somebody's car, destroying property if we put it in the middle. Where we can put it to the side, where there's no homes and stuff, that's where it needs to be.
Okay.
But other than that, it should be put in the middle and then come back and clean the intersections out. I hate to tell you that, but for 30 years of cleaning snow off and on in this city, that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. What was it? I just think that, like you say, if there's places where they can push it, where there's no housing, no nothing there, that's fine.
Our police department is in agreement with that as well, so then we'll work to that. And then And then, just so you're all aware, so the public is aware, we will be publishing the plan. They'll be able to find it on our website as well as our Facebook page. It's a simple plan. It basically outlines what our priority 1 routes are and what our priority 2 and priority 3 is the airport. But priority 1 roads will always be taken care of, and roads, sidewalks will be taken care of first. And depending on how quickly the snow is falling, there may be repeats of priority 1 before priority 2 is hit. But again, the plan will be published so that people will all be aware. The routes have not really changed at all. The priority 1 and priority 2 are basically the same. It's all the main roadways to get to businesses and the school and things like that, so.
I just have a couple comments about that. Obviously, people are typically have their own opinion, and I think the employees do the absolute best they can. They're not, there's no malice in anything that gets done when they're moving snow. So I hope the citizens understand that, we have to pick a way to do it, and maybe it's not the single best way for their particular spot, but that's sometimes the way it is. So the other thing I would point out that this is kind of selfish on my part. The Catholic Church does have church on Saturday night as well, and so I've talked to them in the past about that. I think we do a good job of getting to the churches and schools and whatnot. But and then there was one other thing. I think I talked to Bubba about this, Councilman Ragsdale, I guess, about this at some point, that I think if we could encourage, one of the biggest complaints I heard last year was the amount of deadhead time they saw with snowplows, and to the extent we can, obviously there's going to be some of that, but obviously if somebody sits down and thinks about a route around town that's the most efficient, and we train on that, and I don't know. It's very difficult, but I think, I found it odd, but there was a lot of discussion about the snow removal, and that was one of the major things I heard was, why do they drive around with their plow up? Well, I can't explain that all the time, but to the extent we can do that as little as possible,
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome. Any other questions?
Other than that, that's great.
Thank you for getting it
Yeah.
updated in napkin.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you're
great.
welcome.
It was her.
All right, so we take a motion.
Move to approve the snow removal plan.
Second. Oh, that was a tie.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the snow removal plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is review and approve contract award recommendation for the Deep Well project.
Recommendation for the Central Deep Well project is to award the contract to Sargent Drilling Company for the total base plus options bid, which includes well abandonment, wells 8 and wells 10. And the amount is $454,270.20. We received 2 bids for that project, one from Sargent Drilling and one from Downey Drilling. Sargent Drilling was the lower of the 2 bids by a significant amount, and they were below the engineer's estimate. They met all the criteria, and Sargent Drilling is also very familiar with our wells here. They've done a lot of work on them in the past, so they're familiar with our system. So again, the recommendation is for Sargent Drilling, a contract cost of $442,190.20.
Any questions? When does the drilling commence? I don't think it's,
It will, the 1st of November.
okay.
I move to approve Sergeant Drilling for the Central Deep Well Project.
Been moved and seconded to accept Sergeant Drilling, or to award the contract to Sergeant Drilling for the Central Deep Well Project. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to visitor presentations and comments. I'd like to introduce Judy Johnstone from Burns.
Thank you so much.
I should say Mayor Burns, right?
Sir,
I don't think so. That wasn't how I intended it. I should be more respectful, for sure. Sorry about that. I don't
absolutely.
think
Thank you
that-
very much. I am here as a private citizen tonight. Two things. One regarding Sixpenny. Since it is inappropriate, shall we say, to spend public funding, three of us in Burns are going together to purchase signs that we will put in our access points supporting the sixpenny ballot in its entirety. I know there are a lot of things that you'll see on TV about advertising for the senior center and different items like that. We're just going to advertise for everything because we feel it's in the best interest of the county to get as much passed as possible. So, as I said, three of us are going to go together and pay for that. So, something you all might want to think about. If you don't, that's okay too. The second thing is that as a private citizen, I am here tonight to be very proud to introduce to you my choice for candidate for sheriff, Don Hollingshead, and I would appreciate you hearing him out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don?
I am Don Hollingshead. I am running for Laramie County Sheriff. Give you a little bit about myself. I've been a Laramie County resident for all my life, 54 years. I'm a third generation Laramie County resident. My background with the Sheriff's Department, I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 26 years. Started off in 1995 as a detention deputy and then worked my way over to patrol after a few years. Then I worked the streets for in excess of 12 years before being promoted again to the rank of sergeant and assigned to the rural division. And I was a sergeant over all of rural Laramie County to include the areas around Pine Bluff. My office used to be across the street in the fire district offices over there, and I was there for quite a few years. In that time, I built relationships with the Pine Bluffs Police Department and over the years, and I've been fostering that relationship with the chiefs over the years, to include your current chief, Chance Wakama. Over the years, being the sergeant in this area, I got to know a lot of people. I got to know the area and to know what the area needs. After that, I was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. In that capacity, I oversaw all of the SWAT operations, the department's shifts, K-9, SWAT, EOD, search and rescue, among a lot of other things. In 2018, we had an option or opportunity for me to go over to the detention facility and go back to where I came from. The security lieutenant left after many years, and when I went over there, as you've noticed on social media, if you follow social media, some of the things that have been coming out is that we have a terrible morale issue, we have a terrible manning issue. Well, at the time when I went over there, we were 24, 25 people down, and the morale was horrible. People were leaving at the rate of 1 a month when I went over there. I implemented a lot of ideas that built up the morale. I'm a people person. I love the community. I love people. As an elder with my church for many years, I have a deep tie to my faith in Christianity. And I tied that into my building of the morale and the rapport with this staff. I met with every one of them and found out what were the issues, how we can address them, and how to implement their ideas that they have not been able to implement or get past up the chain to make these changes. Within a year, I brought the rate of people leaving down by a quarter, and within 2 years, it's about at half. And the people that are leaving now, they're leaving for things that are family related. We have one that left because her grades for her master's program was slipping. We have one that left because he has to care for his father who's terminally ill. Things of that nature, or people that just don't fit in a law enforcement role, especially in a detention role, because it's not for everybody. Being locked into a housing unit with 12 people, or up to 60 people for 12 hours, that's a tough job for anybody. So we do have a rate of people leaving, but it's not because of the environment anymore. I was promoted to the rank of captain, and when I took over everything, in charge of all of the multi-million-dollar budget for the jail facility, in charge of maintenance, in charge of a myriad of other things that makes this operation run. I am running with the blessings of the current sheriff who's retiring, so that I can continue the things that he started, but also bring my own flair into it. The changes that I made in the detention side, when I left patrol, the morale went down a bit. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm involved in everybody's stuff. They like that. I went over to the detention side. That built up, but then this lagged. As sheriff, I plan on bringing that and encapsulating the entire department so that it comes back up to what it should be. There has been some talk on social media about the sheriff's department's lack of cooperation with Pine Bluffs. I've been out here and patrolling and doing this, in this area as a sergeant and above for over 10, 12 years. I have had a great relationship with all of the chiefs that we've had in Pine. Your Pine Bluffs Police Department policies and procedures, I gave them. I got permission to give them when I was asked by the chief at the time that Pine didn't have a good set of policies. I gave them up. The Pine Bluffs Police Department over the years has utilized our resources in the Sheriff's Department willingly to take care of training. We've had them come to our monthly trainings, and we've offered that as early as 2019 or so when Chance was made chief. We've offered and given him updated policies. We reached out when he came to our offices, and we talked to him, and our captain on the patrol side offered him all of the resources of our detective division. We have offered all of the resources for keeping the staff of the police department up till 2019 or so when COVID hit, their annual certifications for firearms. So a lot of things that are out there on social media, I don't blame the people that are tying into it because they were given bad information. I'm running a very clean campaign. I'm a Christian man, and I don't believe in doing negative things. I don't believe in having people attack other people. So you'll see none of that from me. We are rebuilding our rural area coverage. That'll be out and around Pine Bluffs, Burns, Carpenter, Alvin. Years ago, when the manning was so terrible in the jail, we weren't able to do what we had historically for the time the Sheriff's Department's been around. Is they start in the jail, they work 2 years, and they go to patrol. It makes a better, more well-rounded officer, just as Chance did. We made him a great officer. He had the opportunity to learn how to interact with multiple people. 60 people in one pod, and they're in there for various things. You learn how to deal and interact. You learn how to care. That makes a great officer, but we had to go away from that and just hire straight from the streets from people from different walks of life because we couldn't afford anybody coming out of jail. We just didn't have the manning. Now that I've been over there for the last almost 3 years, we have manning so built up that I've been able to give 7 positions from detention out of my staff to the patrol side in the last 5 months, and we're continuing to do that. We have more staff than we've ever had in the detention facility. So our morale is good, our numbers are up. What we're looking at doing is bolstering the numbers in the rural area. We got to the rate of growth in the last 10 years, it's above 10% for Laramie County, for all of the outlying areas. It's just building. So it's just a matter of we need to approach the county commissioners with good faith, good information, and work with them to improve the manning for the rural areas. And as we can, based on the ability of working with them with the budget, to increase the wages so we don't lose people to the Front Range and things like that. So we are working that capacity. One of the things that I am talking about on my campaign platform is a major thing, and it's the mental illness issues in Laramie County, Cheyenne. Up until this point, when I worked on the streets, the only way really that a lot of officers, especially the Cheyenne Police Department over the years, would be to incarcerate. It's not a crime to be mentally ill, but not knowing what other resources are available, it leaves officers with little option, and I'm not gigging the police department at all. It's just few options are available. Being the captain in the sheriff's department has given me the opportunity to look at other options. So what we are doing is partnering with CRMC, Cheyenne, the hospital, Volunteers of America, Peak Wellness. So when somebody comes in our jail that we identify as mentally ill, that they already know and deal with, because they're counseling these people, they're going through them through medications, we identify them. And once they're identified, we can bring in those outside resources to treat them while they're in our jail, because we can't treat them, we can maintain them, but we can't treat. So I can bring in outside resources at no cost to the county. They're willing to come in and treat them, get them on the right medication, get them stable, and then I've partnered with all of the criminal justice entities, from the public defender's office to the DA's office to the courts, to get them more efficiently through the criminal justice process. Right now, if you come into our jail on a misdemeanor and it's being contested between defense and the DA's office, you can stay in jail for over a year on a misdemeanor charge. It takes 4 months to get somebody to the state hospital for evaluation. And they're there for a month or so, they come back, and then somebody contests it, and then it goes back for another 4 months. So I'm going to streamline that with the assistance of these agencies so that they get out quicker, but not just get out and put them out on the street. We're building a safety net for them through BOA and through the hospital, getting them counseling on the outside and having it maintained so when they get out, they have the ability to continue their therapy, their medications and things like that, so they can become a viable part of the community. So these are the things that I want to bring that mean something to me. So Danny has done a great job of setting a foundation and running this county as a sheriff for 20 years. I have a different approach. I have different thoughts and ideas with my background being a graduate of the FBI National Academy, things like that. I have a lot of resources at my disposal, people that I know, trust, and I can get information from. So I would just like the opportunity to thank everybody here for listening to my stump speech, and I look forward to meeting everybody at the polls next year in August of 2022. If anybody has any questions, I would be more than happy to answer.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the mental illness thing? When you get people put into jail, is a lot of the jail population mainly mentally ill people?
You're looking at about 70+% that is either they have an addiction issue, a mental health issue.
70%?
Yes, ma'am. They have some form of addiction or mental illness. A lot of the homeless that comes from the streets of Cheyenne, they have something going on like that. And what I'm proposing is that we assist them while they're in jail, so that when they get out, they are better adept to work in society again.
Do you have recidivism? Do they come back?
Oh, yes. They come back on a rotational basis. That's what I'm trying to tamp down. And we also have programs within the jail. We got NA, Narcotics Anonymous, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. We even have GED programs to get them an education, so when they leave our facility, that they have an education. We also have a program through our kitchen facility contractor, Summit.
70%.
Yes. That we can get them, if they go into working inmate labor and work in the kitchen, we can get them a certificate that shows that they have a food safety certificate. So when they get out, they can go into something in the food industry and be able to have a job taking that piece of paper and it says, yes, I was in jail, but yes, I did something. I got my GED. I got this certificate that shows that I am capable of handling myself in the kitchen and food safety. So,
Well, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So where are you at in the detention center on intakes?
Right
Like your
now-
ability to have intake, you
What's
know,
that?
what's the percentage you're able to fit in
Oh, sure.
the jail? What's your
During COVID,
capacity?
Yeah, during COVID, we had to cut it down. I think we were down in the 160s, 170s at one point. But we've changed that and fluctuated it when the COVID instances start going down. We modify that and we can bring our population up. We did that in June, and it kind of bit us because that's when the Delta variant hit, and it knocked us on our backside. We had over 40 inmates and 11 staff members in about a 48 to 72-hour period that came down with COVID with the Delta variant, and it rocked us. And we had to work with city county health to utilize the best information possible from the CDC and our local city county health, because Laramie County was a huge hotspot, still is, to determine how we do these things. We were under a quarantine from them that meant that if we got one person in with COVID, one additional person, it started us over on the time that we were going to be under this quarantine, and it was a 21-day cycle. So every person we got in, it was reset at 21 days. So it took us months to get out. We're out of that now. Starting Monday, we are opening up all of our arrest types that people can bring in. I know there was some talk about Cheyenne being a bastion for bad guys because the jail wasn't allowing people in with misdemeanors, things like that. The statistics that my competitor used in that was skewed. We used to go by what's called a UCR code to give information to the state and the federal government on arrests and what type of arrests. And with UCR, it's a hierarchy. So if you have a felony and several misdemeanors, the only data that will go to the feds would be the felony, the hierarchy, the biggest one. In January, we went to NIBRS, which counts everything. So when my competitor came out and says from January till August, we showed an 86, 87% blast. Well, that's because we went to a whole different dynamic on reporting. So I'll give you the straight scoop. I have our records division pulling up the numbers to give us a real count. But to your answer, yes, Monday, this coming Monday, we're going to open up to all arrest types. I've partnered with Chief Francisco with the Cheyenne PD, the new chief, and I have worked with the city judge to monitor what comes in and how fast we're getting them through. So I've gotten some guarantees on getting them through this system quicker, as quickly as possible, as quickly as they can do judiciously. But I partnered with every entity that I can because COVID is coming down again. I have manning, I have more people coming in off of training, so I can open up more space. So I'm looking at, we'll probably have a population of about 250 within the next month or two. Our max population is about 440 or so. And just so you know, my competitor is wanting to bring in federal inmates to the Laramie County Jail. I used to work when we had federal inmates. They were a mess. They're litigious. They will sue the county to the Stone Age. All they do is spend their time working on lawsuits. So what my competitor has proposed is to bring in 80 or so inmates, and he believes that he can get $2 to $3 million for these inmates. Scotts Bluff, they have 100 inmates, and they get $1 million a year. I know this because I'm friends with the marshal, and he told me this, and the sheriffs in Scotts Bluff. That's what they get. We're not going to get $2 to $3 million for 80. And then when you think of what it costs us to hold those 80, we would have to prescribe to PREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act. We are PREA compliant other than we don't have the personnel that takes care of the finances, that takes care of the counseling, that takes care of all these different things that the government mandates. It'd be about $400,000 to hire the staff just to run PREA for the possible $1 million you're going to get. And then for that $600,000 that you get, you're going to spend a lot of that on just minutia within the department, and then the risk of lawsuits. So it's not worth it. Besides that, when we built the new pods in there, we were at about 340. Okay, we were sitting right at that. We added enough to give us another 100. So if you add 80 to that, we're only going to have about 20 spaces for the growth of Laramie County, and we're going to have to ask the taxpayers for more money to build again. And we're landlocked. We can't build anymore where we're at. We would have to move completely to a different site, probably the Archer complex out there. And we're talking millions, and we're talking 50, 60, 70 million dollars, because we'd have to move the entire facility from the ground up, and more than likely move the courts and everything, or we're going to have shuttles running back and forth. to bring inmates back and forth. And that is a huge expense. We would have to add probably a dozen or more staff. If the judges stayed there and we were out here, we would have to add several squads just to run people back and forth. That would be a huge expense. So to add federal inmates wouldn't be a good fiscal move. So, any other questions?
About the juvenile detention center, how's that going?
That's the apple of my eye. As the captain, I am blessed to be able to be over the juvenile justice facility out there, JSC, Juvenile Services Center. Out there, we have a total of 24 kids that we can keep out there, 16 in the lockup side that are in various stages of the criminal justice system, and 8 for the crisis center. We have the only crisis center in the area that's run by the county. It's an amazing thing. We just got through doing a ribbon cutting last month on a playground for the crisis center kids that's a therapeutic playground. We did it not through county funds, but through funds that we get through the inmate commissary program. We get a few percentages off each thing, and over the years this has built up just a huge amount, and we needed to spend it. Well, we built this great playground for the kids, and the counselors can go out there and use it with the kids. It's built so that the adults can play on this stuff and be out there with the kids. So it's an amazing thing. So it's doing very well.
The only other complaint I heard from people living in the county and stuff is response time from a sheriff deputy to come from Cheyenne out here.
You bet.
And that's one of the biggest complaints I hear. And I know in fact, a lady that was involved in an accident up by Elbin, and she had to wait almost 2.5 hours for a sheriff deputy to get there.
Now, the response times have been really bad here in the last year or so because we have lost so many people. The department's doing really well to the point we have people retiring after 20 years. So we had multiple people retiring from our rural area. Our rural division was pretty much gutted from retirements, and then people in town in the headquarters division. But we are building those numbers back up. Like I said, I gave 7 in the last 5 months to patrol, so we're building those numbers up. We plan on working with the town of Burns to go back to having a contractual agreement with them to supply law enforcement. But you will see those response times coming way down. You will see a robust rural area response again. And I will be, with the cooperation of the county commissioners, we'll be looking at ways to bolster the rural squads. Town has enough. Town has plenty. One of my ideas is to push out the boundaries of the Cheyenne response. So the headquarters pushes out a little bit more. That gives less area that the rural deputies have to respond to, so they can stay out further. That's one of the things I'm working on. So there'll be better response times. To hire a deputy, to get him from day one to on the streets, it takes 6 months or so to run them through that. They have to go through the academy, and then they have to go through a 16-week FTO program, and then we put them out on the street. But those aren't the people we're allowing out in the rural areas. We're only allowing, if we can help it, we're only allowing people that are very seasoned, because when they're out in the rural areas, backup is a long way away. So we need people that are very autonomous, that can handle themselves. So we will see that increase, or the response time decrease. You will see more deputies out here. We have started in the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, when I turned over those last group of people, we have regular patrols out here again, and we have overtime that we're allowing to get additional on top of that. So you should be and you will be seeing better response times and more deputies in the area as we continue to heal. In my opinion, my humble opinion, as running for sheriff and working in jail and patrol, in a sheriff's department, your base, your foundation is your jail. If your jail's not healthy, especially if you're using the jail to supply officers for the street, then your organization's not healthy. For a lot of years, our jail was not healthy. Our jail's very healthy now. We aren't 100%. We're still getting more people on, but they're staying, they're not leaving, and they're going to patrol. So you're seeing this growth of the base and the foundation spreading, so it's a better, more solid foundation to take care of the county residents.
Last question to you. What's your feeling about sheriff deputy cars for Pine Bluff PD officers?
Sheriff's deputy cars?
Deputy cars. When Roger Offset was sheriff, he gave us deputy cars to help patrol the county.
Oh, deputy cards?
Yeah.
Okay, deputy cards.
Yeah. And I was just wondering what your feeling on that is.
So you're talking to deputize?
Yeah, ID card that show
Right.
that they have a right to go into the county to back up you guys or that.
That is better served and serviced through MOUs with the other agencies than to deputize somebody. State statute has a little bit to say about that, to deputize other areas in behalf of a sheriff's department, but I think those would be better served through MOUs so that we can work through agreements through the mayor and the sheriff's office and the county commissioners to work through agreements that we can allow for some things, and I think that is a plausible solution to that. But to blanket just deputize everybody, I think it would be better served to have an MOU to give guidelines and guidance on what can and can't be done. That way it's more defensible than just to blanket give ID deputy cards. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well, you know, they used to dispatch us when I was working here out into the county. But we had no authority to do anything out there.
That's where an MOU would give you the authority.
Yeah. And when Roger Afsell was sheriff, he gave us deputy cars to back up his officers. And that's where I got it.
Yeah, that's a little shaky on that, but an MOU would suffice with that, and it would be worked out through the city attorney for Pine and the county attorney and the county commissioner's office, and it would give us a more defensible option. That
Well, let me
would
ask
make it
you,
feasible.
if that's a viable and decent and good option, why haven't we done that?
That, I don't know. I'm not the sheriff, and I'm not in the position to speak for the sheriff. Anything else?
Well, I just, it just seems strange to me that it seems like we have a bit of a, shortage in the area that
Everybody should
you're
be
obviously
able to
working
take
on.
care of each- yes,
Why
I
was
am.
why was that never brought up?
That I
like,
couldn't tell you. But
worked
it's
on?
something that I would welcome. We have, the Highway Patrol has jurisdiction everywhere, so we back them up, they back us up. The officers here in Pine have the jurisdiction here, but they do come out and help us, and we really appreciate that. But an MOU would help cover your liability to an extent with that. But we have, in the past and historically, backed up Pine Bluffs PD when Pine Bluffs needed our help, and we continue to do that as the need arises. So, but that's something that I would welcome to look at.
Okay,
Okay,
Great.
anything else?
sounds
All
great.
right. Thank you very
Okay.
much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. What's our next thing? County, oh. We're new to that part. County Commissioner Lovett's here. Do you have anything for us?
Regular drop by, I would ask if you guys figure out a snow plan that doesn't upset anybody, would you pass that on?
So this isn't the only place, huh?
No.
Other visitor comments?
Here,
Yes. Can you state your name?
Margaret. And I just would like to introduce to the town of Pine Bluffs some type of feral cat initiative, trap and release, or even possibly a cat sanctuary. That's it. Cheyenne Animal Shelter does in fact have trap and release, but I mean, that's 40 miles away from here. You gotta find the cat, you gotta have your own cage, then you gotta drive down there. And there are a lot of, I really feel sorry for these cats out here that are living in these conditions. Myself and a couple of our neighbors, we have in fact paid money to get some of these cats neutered and spayed. To me, it should be more of a community effort, so I am asking maybe a feral cat initiative for Pine Bluffs, or even a cat sanctuary. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I can say that we do have traps readily available, and our police department has been active in catching.
Yeah, but somebody's gotta pay for the spaying and the neutering.
Well, they take them to the animal shelter in Cheyenne. But yes, and that was something that we had planned on visiting with the 2 vet clinics here in town to see if they would be willing to, work on some kind of a program that would assist us with reducing the number of feral cats. And I would just highly encourage residents to stop feeding them because they keep coming back to certain locations because certain folks keep providing them a meal.
You can't let them starve, they've been here. You understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely do understand, but
Stop feeding them. Then what do?
Oh,
They just
did she
crowd
leave?
out and go outside. You can't just stop feeding them, they live outside. Who's going to feed them? I'm sorry?
They
There's
can
not
eat
enough
mice.
For these cats. No, there aren't. I'm sorry, there aren't. That's a ridiculous proposition, that they can go out there and feed themselves when there's 10, 15 of them. No, that's not enough. They need more
Okay.
territory in the environment. They have to eat
it is our
every
plan to
day.
work with the
They
clinics
have
in
to
town.
eat every day, not occasionally.
Thank you. Linda, I didn't see you back behind there. Commissioner Heath is here.
She was hiding behind.
Yeah?
Linda Heath, County Commissioner, and I just wanted to share with you that there will be early voting available at the Burns Complex on October 23rd, which is a Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is open to all Laramie County residents. You can go there and vote. You can register at the same time. So if you are unable to make, say, the voting day out here in Pine, or you are unable to get into the atrium, there's an opportunity to vote over in Burns on the 23rd.
Great. Thank you.
And Mayor, we also have Kevin Marquardt here.
Kevin.
The mayor and the council, I am here to ask if the city would be interested in implementing an airport authority board for our airport. I don't know if all of you know me. My name is Kevin Marquardt. My dad's been very instrumental in working with the airport, with Pine Bluffs, from the very beginning, back in the 60s. And the airport has grown. It's been amazing. The city's done an incredible job with it. I put together just a small presentation. First, I'd like to just give a brief history of the airport. Its name is 82 Victor. It is one of 30 general aviation airports located in Wyoming. The FAA forecasts that there are approximately 8,500 operations a year exercised from here. An operation would be one takeoff and then would be considered an operation, a landing considered an operation. A lot of people don't realize there's that much activity that goes on at the airport, and those stats come from the state. Over 100 people have learned to fly from this location. My dad taught most of them. The original airport was situated at the Wisroth property northwest of town. It was developed for the first air mail delivery system. It was later moved west of the town on the property owned by Gene Smith and consisted of only a dirt runway. In the late 60s, it was again moved to the current location from land donated by the Gross family to the town for an airport. In the 70s, it started as a dirt strip, was later paved, and the first hangars were added. Through the 80s and 90s, the lights were installed, the taxiway was added to the 260 runway, and the automated weather observation system, or AWOS, was added. From the 2000s to the current, the wildlife fencing and automatic gates were installed. The runway was lengthened and widened to support larger, heavier, faster aircraft. The lights were updated. 6 more hangars were added and rented, with a waiting list of people wanting to rent currently. The building was built where the bathroom is located, and the maintenance equipment is stored now. The Butler building and the property was then purchased. That building has been rented out for aviation-related businesses since its initial purchase. The 100-octane avgas pump and storage tank was added. We've approximately 187,000 gallons of fuel have been bought and sold since it was installed. Pretty impressive. We started off the first year as selling 1 tanker load for the entire year. This year, we just received our 4th tanker load and anticipate selling a majority of it before the year end. This last year, the new terminal building was completed. It includes space for a fixed base operator, or FBO, a maintenance shop, a pilot's lounge, flight planning room, and restroom facilities. As the airport continues to grow and prosper, it has a positive impact on the town of Pine Bluffs and will only continue to increase as air travel in our area grows with the economic growth that is currently happening. An airport authority board would help the city in steering the airport in the vision of the future and help oversee the day-to-day operations as it continues to grow. That vision would include adding Jet A fuel as the number of turbine aircraft is increasing greatly. The Air Force has indicated that they would use this facility to train and fuel the Huey helicopter fleet that consists of 8 aircraft that support the nation's strategic nuclear asset security. We need to add more aircraft hangars for the growing list of people seeking them, and completing the instrument landing approach to the airport, which the FAA started probably 10 years ago but hasn't completed. That could be, give them a gentle nudge to keep doing that, so that more commercial aircraft can use it. We could finish the 08 taxiway, look at obtaining a charter service that could operate from the airport. The list goes on, and I think an advisory board would be very instrumental in helping the city to keep the airport doing what it's doing. It's been amazing. Is there any questions, or?
It's all right. I briefly discussed this with Kim, and I've had this similar thought for a while that we need more people involved in the decision-making, or at least to advocate for the airport, more people with ideas, more people to look after things, and frankly, I think it's a great idea. By the way, your dad taught me to fly at that airport. So anyway, I would be very supportive of that, and I think as an advisory to all of us on the council, that maybe people, it kind of gets lost out there and people don't tend to think about it often. People who are passionate about aviation are more likely to provide solid recommendations and look after what's happening out there.
It's amazing the amount of activity going on. People coming in, they're buying fuel, they're coming to town, they're staying in the motel, they're buying the fuel at the airport, eating at the restaurants. Actually, business, there's been some small business jets starting to come in as the things are getting bigger and bigger. There's just going to be a lot more activity out there, and it would just be nice to be able to, help guide the city with some extra people to help grow it and expand it and keep the vision going.
I agree 100%. It's pretty hard. I've been in this entity for going on 20 years now, 18 for sure, I think. But every year we get more and more interest in our little airport. And we keep adding, we keep adding, we keep adding. But I think we lose our view of what's happening as a city council. And I think if we had a board that would bring us more ideas and stuff to us, would be a great asset.
And I've talked to several people that would be interested in serving. My idea is if we could involve someone from the council in the board and then have another 4-person, just independent board, put it together and away we go.
I think it'd be a great idea.
I agree.
Go for it.
Would you be willing to take people from outside Pine Bluffs? I know somebody that owns a plane that's parked out there that I think probably would be interested
To take them, what do you mean?
on your advisory board.
Yeah, we would definitely, it would depend on what the council was looking for, you know, for that type of people, but yeah. There's most of the airplanes that are out there now are not necessarily people that live in Pine Bluffs. You know, they're from different areas, so, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that's similar to my thought in that we would obviously take input, but we would appoint the people to that board and, you know, not in a conflict sort of way, but I'm saying that I think we need to be able to get the ball rolling, to get it, to get people appointed to it, maybe on staggered terms or something like that.
Sure.
Where, we get some, you know, periodically a chance to mix it up if that's what they want. And like most boards, you likely, if you're, interested and you want to be on the board, you'll be on the board. And then when you don't want to be on the board, you'll have to find somebody to replace you because that's how those boards work.
Right, they could put in a bylaw and allow it.
No, I'm being
Exactly.
facetious. If you're gonna get on the fire district board, that's the rule of thumb, is you have to find your replacement before you can leave, but,
I've been trying for 6 months on that board and I can't find nobody.
The interesting thing about this airport too, Cheyenne is more geared, they look at is trying to get passenger type aircraft in there. They don't really care about general aviation. And with the new building we're putting in, hopefully we get the maintenance and an FBO in here. We'll be getting a tremendous amount of general aviation people from Cheyenne coming down. They come down anyway to buy fuel. And I know if a lot of those are looking for hangars. And with the board, we could also help go try to find money, you know, grants, these types of things to put these things together. So.
great. Well, I think we could maybe, set up a meeting at some point and figure out how to proceed with that if everybody's open to that idea.
I think it's great.
Good. Awesome, very
Great.
good, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for the
Thank you.
presentation. Any other visitors' comments? Pretty much got them all.
Yeah.
Carrie, you're pretty quiet back there.
Yeah. All right, well, your time is passing here quickly, so.
That's okay.
Jana, do you have something?
Yep, just an update from the senior center. They had their annual meeting and board election. 2 seats were up. Franny was reelected, and let's see, Carol Milton was elected to those 2 seats. They did a COVID update, their last annual meeting. They just opened up their cafeteria back up. The state's going to allow them to continue to do take-home meals for people who feel safer at home, but their cafeteria is also now open. And their low-income energy assistant program opened up on October 1st. And they have the applications there and can help people fill them out, as well as send them in. It's for any age group. It pays for your heating bill for the winter. A household of 1, for example, though, can't make more than $2,491. So there's a low-income energy assistant program, opens October 1st for anyone interested, or who goes to the senior center. They'll help you fill out. But other than that, it's business as usual.
We also have those applications available, and I am going to be posting the link where they can also go online to fill those out. If an applicant has applied in the past, they should be receiving a pre-filled out application. All they have to do is fill out and verify their income. But if it's a new applicant, then they are welcome to come down here, and I would be glad to help them fill out the application or anything. It does not have to be a senior. It's based on family size and income eligibility, and I'll be making a Facebook post containing the income guidelines and the website that they can also fill it out electronically if they so choose.
Great, thanks. Bubba?
Couple questions, one for Kim. You gotta forgive me, I can't remember, are we gonna do anything with streets this fall, as far as any paving or
No, streets will be done in the springtime.
Okay. Fixing potholes?
Well, fixing potholes is different. We just got in a shipment of asphalt patch to go around
Okay.
and get those taken care of. But any major road work will start in the spring, early summer timeframe.
I know over on 6th and by Jim Marstrom's 6th and between Beach and Walnut.
Yes.
A big dip there.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I hit
Around
it
that
the other
manhole?
day. Yep. It's like
It's
caved in.
a bad one, isn't it? And then on, between,
Hold on. Slow down.
Sixth
Beach
and-
and Walnut, and what else?
there's a bad one up here on Main Street.
Okay.
Yep.
Between 3rd and 4th.
Yep.
Across that cut, and there was another bad one that I ran through on my way home tonight on Elm Street between 2nd and 3rd. I'm tired of the potholes at East 10th Street and Beach. Damn, tired of ducking and diving around them. That's it. That's
So we gotta have the 6 penny.
uh,
That's why we need the 6 penny.
Yep, yep. So, anyway, other than that, I think everything's going good.
Great. Ally?
Yeah, not much from EMS. He's helping us get squared away on some phone stuff, so we can just direct all of the calls straight to the people in charge, and, kind of, reducing the melee. That's it.
The landfill, still going. They're finally gonna get their policy done. I hope this meeting next week, after 4 or 5 months on it. But everything's going pretty good. They got quite a bit of, loads in it, making pretty good money. Not bad. That's to him. He keeps his people working. They have to eat lunch in their in the bulldozer.
No,
Well, now he's gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No, but everything's good at the camp.
great. Alex? Great. Chance?
Just a couple announcements, just want to make people aware of. So we're doing drug take back again October 21st between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. So if you have your expired or unused, unwanted medications, this is the best way to get rid of them without flushing them or having somebody else take them off their hands for any other purposes. So we're partnered with DEA and CRMC outreach programs, so thanks to them for helping us organize that event. We're also partnering with Crossroads, Lighthouse Assembly of God, and Life Choices, and we're doing parenting classes. So we're in our second parenting class this week. It's not too late, though, for anybody that's interested to get involved. But they're on Mondays between 6:30 and 7:30. We try to keep it short. There's just like an online video and some discussion. I think the biggest takeaway is the networking you get, too, from that. So parents who are just out here by themselves, they get a great opportunity to kind of just meet some other people that might be going through the same struggle that all us parents are going through. So, and then I don't see Sonia here, so I'm going to steal the thunder, but the Fall Festival is this weekend. And so it's at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we've got a lot of great events going on during that. I've invited some good folks. They're going to be out there. So Security Forces is going to be out there with their canine, also do a demo. I think Cheyenne PD is coming out, and WHP is going to bring their drunk driving crash simulator, seatbelt simulator. So super fun. There should be some great laughs, I'm sure, with that. So, and then also with the winter, just a couple reminders too. We have our Senior Citizen Watch program and our House Watch program. So for those leaving the area, you can find both of those on our website. Please sign up for those, because we could just let us know if you have a senior that you'd like us to keep an eye on, or if we have a big storm, we check on them often. And then also with our House Watch program, if you happen to leave the area and want us to look at that, that is the way to go about submitting that request, and we'll check on your house for you. Or else just give us a call at our number on our website. So that's all. Thank you very much. Any questions?
All right, thanks, Chance. Becky?
Nope, I'm Good.
Kim?
Just an update on a couple of our projects. The Rear Park Playground project, the design is complete. We'll be releasing the RFP for that next month for construction in the early spring. The valve replacement project has been running smoothly. The gate valves were actually replaced a few days ahead of schedule. We're going to be working on the Cell 3 bypass line and hope to be complete by the middle of next week sometime with a final walkthrough next Friday when Lauren returns. Lauren is out of town starting tomorrow until next Thursday. So, also, we had our preliminary meeting for the community master plan. And one thing that we didn't include in the original plan was to have an actual steering committee. We found that the steering committee was pretty helpful during the Northland plan development. And the steering committee would be, representatives from various groups in the community, a representative from our seniors, a representative from our business community, and like I said, just a variety of folks that could help impact the way that we focus on different items during the study. There would be an additional cost for that steering committee. If they were all virtual meetings, it would be an additional cost of $3,000. In-person meetings would be $4,700. I would imagine that we could probably have a combination of the two. But at a minimum, I would recommend that we move forward with at least virtual meetings and move forward with have a steering committee for that project. Any thoughts from the council on that? Are you all good with the additional cost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
And again, to piggyback off of Chance with the Fall Festival, it's going to be an awesome event. If y'all remember, it was originally our Touch a Truck and Tractor event that we had every year, and it has kind of grown into our Fall Festival. We'll have a petting zoo, free pumpkins, and all types of things to see and do. So we encourage everybody to come out and join us this Saturday. The weather should be pretty good, provided the wind stops blowing. Or at least slows down a little bit. And we are actively in our FY21 audit process. So.
Anything else? The only thing I had was we discussed early on about individual projects that people would like to work on or things like that. I would just like to know, maybe when we come back the next time, this is a really slow roll into this process, but is our one council meeting a month preventing us from getting to those things or preventing enough face time of pursuing some of those issues? Or perhaps instead of a full-blown secondary council meeting, we have, I don't know what you want to call it, a work session where we could possibly do approved permits or something simple, but it's primarily a work session. And if so, would a different time of day or different, I guess maybe some feedback or input from everyone on that, if that's something they're interested in getting together more often.
Earlier.
Yeah, well, I'm self-employed, so if you want to do
So
it
am
at
I.
10 in the morning, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of a work session. Jana and I had talked about that. Mayor Collins mentioned it last night that they had one, and I was kind of intrigued by that idea. Maybe it gave us some more time to get real projects done instead of going through the motions of regularly scheduled meetings.
We have to notice it. Yeah.
Basically a meeting.
Yeah. So I guess it's, I guess
I'm
we
good
would
with
take input about days of the week, times of day. your preference is night.
Doesn't matter. I got a good enough crew out there.
I'm good. I guess I'd recommend if we do this, not to make it maybe once a quarter or once every 2 months or something like that. Something, so we actually have stuff and it doesn't become not
Right.
necessary, I guess. I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're hoping to do. So would it just be like,
Well, I think this
Going to-
setting makes it difficult, to me, it makes it difficult for us to, even though we have to notice it, if somebody wants to be bored to death and sit around while we kick around
okay,
ideas.
so this one would be more for kicking around ideas or discussing potential projects that we wanted. Okay, so I guess in that regard, yeah, maybe not once a month, but maybe once every 2 months or once every quarter or something where we can get together. But that's just my thought,
Do you have any,
but I'm happy to come.
issue with unregularly scheduled work sessions as long as they're noticed and,
No, I don't think so
Okay.
at all. It's just a matter of, sticking to
okay,
And in terms of my schedule, I can do it anytime, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as long as you don't mind my kids also being here.
okay. All right, sounds good. Anybody have anything else? Announcements? Anything? Meetings? Look at our calendar.
Our next regular meeting would be Monday, November 8th at 7 PM.
Okay. Anything else?
Move to adjourn?
And don't forget to vote on November 2nd.
Oh, yes. Let's interrupt that for a second. Yes, don't forget to vote before our next meeting, and we'll,
I also have sample ballots available. There's some over here by the sign-in sheet. You're also welcome to come down and grab a sample ballot. There will be one in the Pine Bluffs Post. Also, the early voting in Burns on October 23rd, which there will be a Facebook post about. And so there's all of those updates.
is it the 23rd or 21st?
23rd, I think. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday.
I thought I was gonna be able to drop off my drugs and
23rd.
vote on the same day, but that's the 21st,
Sorry,
right?
23rd.
Ah,
Yes.
all right. Sounds good, yes, get out and vote.
I move to adjourn. Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.